make sure that you have some safeties when you're working on a car. You never want to put yourself in a position to get pinned underneath a car that's falling down. Right now I have this jack as one, and then this jack stand right here is my second. So when you want to work after you've removed the rear suspension control arm, you then can lower this back down a little bit to give you a little bit more access to work in there. So there we go, we got that lowered down, and now you have plenty of space to get back here and get all these bolts out. So you got that one there, that one down there. Oh boy, it's not looking too good. Yeah, there you go. The trick to removing the rear suspension control arm is to actually take a jack and place it right under the strut there, and you're going to jack it up until this bolt becomes loose. Once you've obviously you take that nut off the other side first, but when you get this jacked up, this puppy's going to slide right out. Now you're good to go. Now you'll be able to get to this bearing hub bolt right here that was previously blocked by your rear control arm. Now, before you can pull this hub off, you got to remove the rear wheel speed sensor. That's going to be a 10mm socket, and that will come right out. All right, and that bad boy just pulls right out. And this connector actually goes into here on this back side. Pull that out, it kind of can get this out of your way while before you go to pull this hub off. It's pretty tight quarters back there getting these bolts out, but I actually used a breaker bar to get in there. There's 3 bolts that you have to remove in the back here. This one up against the strut is actually the hardest one to really get to, but once you get those out, then you get your pull hammer and you pull the bearing out. Actually went to my local hardware store to rent, and actually when I say rent, you actually just pay for the whole unit, use it for however long you need to, bring it back, and they give you a full refund. So you're actually not paying anything for this, but it's actually very important. Otherwise you're going to be pounding and pounding and pounding to get this bearing out, because you know this is a 2012, so that thing has been in there for 6 years, 6 winters of corrosion, and you can kind of see that here. So this baby wants to stay in, but we're gonna force it out of there. So basically, this slide hammer bolts onto your hub assembly, and you slide this heavy weight back and forth, and it will pull this out. So she is locked in there. Locked. But this is a lot better than not having this. So go to a local store and rent one of these. It will definitely make the job go a little smoother. Holy cow. I have been beating this bearing for a good part of an hour at least with that hammer, and with this slide hammer. So actually I've been hitting it so hard, my hand started to hurt, so I have this towel tied around it and allows me to get some pretty good leverage on it. Now, it is starting to loosen up. This is starting to loosen, so it is starting to come out, thank the Lord, because I don't know how much longer I could pound on that, but that's how many times I've been keeping track. So, oh, that's over 100 each one of those hits. I do 10 hits and then stop and take a breather because it is very tiring. Well, 7 more hits after that last clip, which came out, and I'm gonna brush this out, clean it up, and install the new bearing. Alright, well, she's all cleaned up. Now, time to put the new one in. Alrighty, I got the bearing in. Just a quick reminder, make sure you put this on before you put the bearing bolts in. I actually had it in and then realized that I had forgot to put the guard on, so save yourself a little trouble. Just remember to put this bad boy on. I put the bolts all the way through and then used the bolts to line the bearing up, and then now I've tightened it on. Seemed to work pretty good. So to make this a little quicker, I didn't actually take the pads and piston off my disc here. I took the whole thing off all in one piece. These are actually new discs, so they came off pretty easy, and I just set them up on a block. Now I'm going to put them back on, the new bearing, and that's one less thing that you have to mess around with if you can take it off all in one piece. Just have a block ready to put it down. The cable doesn't stretch very far. But anyway, that saved a little time.